Round is going to be the US versus the UK with university esports experience. I know in the UK we've certainly heard a lot more and had the rise of university courses offering esports experience, but over in the US they've also been kind of matching that and been doing it for quite some time. So this panel and this session is mainly going to focus on the two key differences between those and the similarities and differences and what we can kind of learn from one another on that front. For our moderator, we've got Laura from Swipe Right PR, and our speakers, we have Joey from Shenandoah University. Did I get it right? I got it right. There we go. We've got Jack from the University of Warwick, and we've also got Anissa from Newell, otherwise known as NUEL. So I'm going to let you guys take the floor from here. Give them a round of applause, please.
Hello everybody, I'm very excited to be modding this panel today. My name is Laura and I'm account manager at Swipe Right PR. We are a global communications agency covering both esports and gaming. And in true panel fashion, should we do introductions? Do you want to kick off?
Hi, my name is Anissa. I'm a recent graduate from the University of Warwick in French and German. I am the ex-product manager for the National University Esports League. I co-founded the UK's first Women and Non-Binary University Tournament, and I've also previously worked at the Warwick Esports Centre, obviously founded by Jack.
I'm Jack. I'm the head of esports at the University of Warwick, co-founder of Warwick Esports, the university student-run club, and as Anissa elegantly said, we run the Warwick Esports Centre.
My name is Joey Gariziak, director and professor of esports at Shenandoah University, which is in Virginia over in the States. I kind of direct the program, which means I oversee a lot of things and don't actually do anything. And I'm also currently the chair of the board of directors for the National Association of Collegiate Esports, which is the largest organizing collegiate esports competition platform in North America, maybe the world. I got to look at the data a little bit more on that. I'm also a co-founder of a company that helps start programs at other universities, whether it's competitive or academic, called Esports Development and Growth Enterprise. And we've helped over 45 schools launch programs in the States and in Canada to get their program going, again, whether it's competitive or academic. So really excited for this. I'm excited to talk about the differences between the UK and the US and why the US is the best.
Great, it's wonderful to have you all here today. So I wanted to start off by providing a bit of context and background. Obviously, esports education both in the US and UK have grown quite a lot in the last couple of years. So maybe we start from a US perspective. Why do you think so many kind of colleges and universities have got on board and kind of embraced the industry?
Yeah, so in the States, we've got over 800 colleges and universities that currently have some kind of esports program. Most of those are competitive, some of them being more academic now, and that academic side is certainly coming. A lot of people in the States will say it's for recruitment and retention. So the two R's, recruitment, retention, a way to get students to university and a way to keep them at university. Offering them something like competition in a structured environment is extremely important as we continue to look at student engagement numbers, to provide opportunities for students that go beyond just playing video games and understanding where that can lead them and meeting them where their passion is, like esports and gaming is, but also where future career opportunities are. It's not dissimilar from where sport management was about 40 years ago in the States, maybe 50 years ago. And that's my background, is in sport management, and I've kind of morphed into the esports side now, and I see a lot of similarities. And so colleges and universities in the States certainly are picking up on this, and there's an opportunity here to get the word out about what we do, to do things a little bit differently, but most importantly, to offer opportunities to current and future learners that wasn't previously there. I think everybody I talk to says, I wish this was here when I was in college. I wish there was a facility or an arena like they're being built across campuses around the country. I wish there are opportunities to go study in Amsterdam, like a partnership that we have with H20, thanks to Jesse up there. These opportunities that aren't previously there that we can provide students that gets them to the university, and especially at small schools. Shenandoah University is a small, private, liberal arts institution, and so we've got to fight against kind of the bigger brands like an Ohio State or a Penn State or a Maryland, and esports is that opportunity that we can kind of make a name for ourselves. And so the university likes it, the students that like it, both current and future ones, and I like it because it's esports and gaming. Why wouldn't I like that? So it gives me a reason to be there beyond just being a college professor. And it's really cool to see the passion that students have with something like esports and gaming that wasn't there before. And so it keeps me going, it keeps me fresh. That in the 3 shots of espresso I just had, definitely keep me awake. But that's why we've seen so many schools go into esports so quickly. And now it's competition. You know, college sports in the US is very different than in other parts of the world. And so now colleges are trying to compete with each other to have the best Rocket League team, have the best Overwatch team, have the best League of Legends team. So we see that same kind of passion for competition in colleges that we've seen in traditional sports, but now we're just doing it for esports, which is a really cool logical progression that we've seen in this evolution. And hopefully we just continue to see more, but certainly lots of small schools, like I said, over 800 at this point. The bigger schools are coming, and we're just going to continue to see that massive growth over the next few years.
Nice. Do you want to jump in from a UK perspective?
Yeah, I mean, completely different ecosystem. Like he was just saying, 800 plus colleges. We've managed to fit all of the people doing programs into our roundtable later on this afternoon, right? Like it's really small in terms of the way that we've picked it up. And I think it's really important to talk about the cultural difference there. Like it's not a case of us doing it better or worse. Like, you know, the versus thing's very divisive, but like we were just having a really good chat about how actually it's a massive cultural difference, right? Like, we've, you know, go look at the Olympics, for example, and see how similarly the US and the UK perform in those big sporting competitions. But look at the pathways that those students have taken to get there, and it's entirely different, right? You've got like full pass scholarships, you've got massively like supported programs in the US where you've got these big, you know, money on the line sponsorships. I mean, there was loads of controversy around sponsorships in the kind of football league in the US, the collegiate stuff, you know, so much money and brands that want to be involved in that. And that's the way that they get to pro. Whereas in the UK, if you're, you know, if you want to be a top level triathlete, like you're probably like grafting on your own money, and you might even be paying to go to Loughborough to then, you know, pursue that, right? So it's a really different culture, but actually I think going the routes that's natural to our region is really important for us to then lift that up. Like, you know, the program that we have here at Warwick, there's no degree program. There's no kind of full-ride scholarship offer or anything like that. It was born out of a passionate student community, and I think that's where the things are in common. You've got massively driven students. A lot of them in the room right now, I can see them all like, you know, nodding away, get pumped, fists in the air, you know, you've got to represent. And it's really important that that's harnessed by the organizations. I think whatever pathway universities are going down, there's so many passionate people that want to take that to the next level. And at Warwick, you know, that took making a facility, offering that additional support, having that center for expertise to be shared with the students and to lift them up. And you see amazing people kind of starting new things and creating new opportunities like Anissa has.
I think I just wanted to like quickly add, I think maybe this applies to the US as well. Education itself is an investment, and I think a lot of people are seeing, especially 18-year-olds now when they're going into university, that the esports industry is worth the investment that you pay for university and going into. So yeah, they're definitely, from how the industry is growing, they're just seeing that it's worth putting their time in, putting their money in, and all their like effort to, you know, finally have it, hopefully when they graduate, to get a full-time job and hopefully have that investment come back.
And I think when talking about like why the schools are picking it up, I think it was part of the question. It's interesting to see the different angles that UK unis are going down, because you said it's all about recruitment and retention, right? And actually at Warwick, recruitment wasn't one of the core angles, right? Like there's a benefit of it. Like a really good case study is like our League of Legends team that like just won NSC. Like that was a super team where we had students leaving, captains of other high achieving universities, leaving their undergrads and doing their masters at Warwick and creating this League of Legends super team because we're that hub for that, you know, high performance. But actually, that was born out of like a passion to be there and a passion to be together. And you know, recruiting people like that is just kind of a knock-on effect of actually the program at Warwick is just about lifting up and encouraging innovation and expertise and entrepreneurship at Warwick, and making sure that the students benefit and actually the whole wider community. Like, our facility is open to the public at all times. Everything we do, people from the surrounding area can come in, use a facility, interact with people, and that helps. If you're a 13-year-old and you don't know what you're going to do next, but you love playing Fortnite, you can come in, you can ask questions, you can play in a social environment where there's adults around you that are playing, and that also then helps fight toxicity. It helps make really well-rounded young people that actually understand that there's other human beings on the other side of the screen, and actually just having these physical facilities is really important. And I think there is a knock-on effect of actually, whether you're investing for recruitment reasons or whether you're investing for social reasons, and you just came off the back of having, Becky repping uni esports here, talking about social change. It's really important that you consider the fact that just having that facility can be massively influential to everyone around you. And there's a big responsibility there, I think, that esports has that we need to keep pushing forward on.
I wanted to dive a little bit more into kind of like the infrastructure and kind of opportunities there are for young people to get involved in esports, because it's more than just esports degrees. There's leagues being set up, and it'd be good to kind of get a good overview of what we've got in the US compared to the UK. So maybe, do you want to start with the work you did with Newell and just explain kind of the opportunities there were?
So I'm not sure if this is controversial, because I know there's been a bit of discourse about volunteering in esports, but I actually started my journey in esports through volunteering at Newell and also being part of the Warwick Esports committee. So I did this out of my free time. I wasn't paid for any of it. It obviously wasn't extortionate hours, but I did one evening in a weekend and a few evenings for Warwick Esports as well. And then from then on, I managed to achieve the product management manager role at Newell. So I think starting off volunteering maybe a few hours a week isn't necessarily the worst thing. There's always opportunities within the university space to do volunteering. It doesn't necessarily have to be, my background is tournament operations. It doesn't necessarily have to be tournaments. It can be broadcast. It can be, looking after players. It can be so many things. And I don't necessarily think starting off volunteering is the worst thing. There are also part-time roles that you can also do. So I guess working at the Esports Centre itself is an entry-level job that I was paid for. So it doesn't necessarily always have to be volunteering. You can do part-time jobs and to get into esports. But yeah, I started off personally volunteering and then went on to part-time, and hopefully I will go into full-time in esports, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, and to add to that as well, I think similarly, Warwick Esports exists because a lot of people like Anissa put crazy amount of hours into it as a volunteer, as a student, and our student community is still volunteer run. Warwick Esports is still Warwick Esports, even though we have the Esports Centre, and I think that's really, really important, is that exists. And that you have really passionate people like Foss and Kat, the presidents of past and current, that continue to pioneer and create that, but also put pressure on the staff when you do have staff. Now that I'm staff, they're putting pressure on us to improve and to innovate and to always be up to date. Because as we get onto the conversations around degrees, how can a degree keep up with the speed of the industry, right? And you need to have that volunteer, passionate student body that pressure you to always be up to date. Otherwise, you're doing them a disservice. And we're really lucky to have that. And I think we put pressure on ourselves, they put even more pressure on us, and then we just make that work. And that's resulted in actually having social action programs. We've had over 700 young people through the Esports Centre in our first year through programs. Some of them have been not in education, some have dropped out of employment, some of them have just been year 8s who don't know what they want to do. And it's been all about using esports as a way for them to realize that it's not just about jobs in esports. And I'll let Joey talk about this as well, because I know it's a big piece for him. But esports can set you up for many, many careers. And actually being set up within esports, you need to be ready to be an accountant in esports or a lawyer in esports. So at Warwick, what we do is we actually integrate and support every degree program. So if you're a lawyer, training lawyer undergraduate, and you want to do your dissertation on esports IP, for example, you can come to us and we can facilitate that. And that's when you create those experts, because that's what the industry needs. The industry has a skills deficit of genuine young experts. So it's about, growing those people.
Yeah, Jack, you make a lot of really good points, and I love that students are here, by the way, because this is also what esports in higher education can provide, right? It's all about opportunities. It's all about more than just playing video games. Our catchphrase at our university is beyond gaming, and we take that very, very seriously because, yes, our students are playing video games. They're competing against other schools in North America in a number of different titles. But what else are they getting out of it besides just playing video games? You know, there are some schools that focus and offer full ride scholarships to have the best League of Legends team in North America. Good for them. That's not what we do. We want to provide as many opportunities in and through esports as possible, whether that is studying esports, whether that's working in esports and getting that experience while they're at the university, whether that's traveling to different countries and working events. We've been to South Korea and Amsterdam and plans to go to Southeast Asia, setting up more partnerships around the world for our students to get exposed to what esports can be. It's a vehicle for an educational opportunity. And it's something that we can really use to reach students in a way that's much more meaningful, much more in depth than the quote unquote just playing video games. And that's something I have to tell parents every time they come visit our arena is they're sending their son or daughter to a university, which by the way in the States is not cheap. It's very expensive. You're talking $40,000 a year to go to our university that students are paying to get this experience in and through esports. So I have to make sure that they know that their son or daughter is not just coming to our university to play League of Legends for 12 hours a day, that they are going to class and getting good grades, but they're also doing things outside the classroom, which is what esports can also provide. And that's where I see, that's really what my job is at the university. It's, yes, teaching classes that we have on esports management, but getting them external opportunities for them to interact, to network, to do things that go beyond the classroom to help set them up to be successful by the time they graduate, whether they work in esports or not. It doesn't matter, right? But we're getting them the skills that are necessary to, yeah, they can get a job in esports, but we want to make sure that they're adequately prepared with those transferable skills to work across different industries and to have a viable career that they really value by the time they graduate. And so, you know, that's where I see the opportunities in esports, really in higher education, is it provides something that, again, wasn't previously there, and something in the States that there are different models for every university. Whether they want to be, you know, high-level competition, whether they want to offer academic degree programs, is it undergrad, is it grad, whether they want to have an esports arena and is a kind of a hub for this social integration and bringing people together in this kind of incubator for local businesses. So we're starting to see a lot of these different kinds of models across universities in North America, just depending on what their budget is, what their purpose is for having a program, what they really value and what they want to give to their students. And so it's really up to each university to kind of decide what is their identity going to be and what opportunities can they provide that, again, goes beyond playing video games, goes beyond the classroom. And that's where I think it's really exciting right now that the esports industry can provide those opportunities because people are passionate about it. I mean, look at what's going on here. This is an awesome event, and having students here that can network with people across esports in the industry is extremely beneficial and valuable to these students. And so that's exactly the kind of thing we need to keep providing as people that work in these institutions of higher education to make sure our students are getting as much value as possible out of that experience.
Great, and I think you've talked about some of the solutions, but I think it's important to kind of address there has been obviously some criticism around esports degrees, programs and stuff like that. Maybe it's more kind of an older generation type view, and I know a lot of people in this room would disagree. Esports is very much a viable career, but I wanted to get your thoughts on kind of, is there anything you guys have to do to kind of increase participation, or is there any kind of infrastructure you've put in place to kind of help, you know, kind of counteract those kind of criticisms?
Yeah, I can start. I hear criticisms all the time, mostly from my wife. But I hear a lot of these criticisms, and I always welcome them because it makes you reflect and make sure you're doing things that are set up to help learners be successful as possible. And so, you know, we hear a lot about, oh, you don't need an esports degree to work in esports. Hell no, you don't need an esports degree to work in esports. It is not the path to work in esports. It is simply a path to work in esports, right? And so I would never say that a student that comes to a university to get an esports degree is going to work in esports the day after they walk across that stage with a degree. I would never guarantee that to anybody, whether it's esports, sport management, I don't know, physics, whatever the degree path is. It's the opportunities that they take advantage of while they're there to go with that degree that's going to help them get a viable career and get that job when they graduate. And so when I talk to people that, you know, are critical about an esports degree, it's not a real degree, or that's stupid, you don't need that thing. Okay, of course you don't. But why don't we provide that opportunity, that new and exciting opportunity, to get students to a university? A lot of students that come, maybe they don't see themselves going to university, but esports can provide a community of like-minded individuals where now they feel welcome and part of that larger campus atmosphere that helps them value that education a whole lot more, right? And so, yeah, the criticisms, I always take them. I have no problem with that. It's always about having a dialogue and having a conversation. And I know we only get like 25 minutes up here, but there's gonna be a roundtable discussion soon after this, where we can really dive more in depth about those criticisms, about degree programs, about higher education, because there's so much depth to it. But on the surface, people are very critical. It's easy to be critical. It's a lot harder to find solutions to the criticisms. So it's about engaging in dialogue, engaging in conversation, but showing what esports can actually do to help students get that job by the time they graduate, but also help them grow as a person. Help them learn communication, adaptability, these soft skills that we've heard about before that you get through traditional sports like football, soccer, whatever you call it over here, basketball, baseball, all these traditional sports, you get these soft skills. The same things can be learned through esports. And so it's breaking down the barriers, breaking down the stereotypes, but most importantly, just having a conversation and not going and getting angry or upset when somebody criticizes it, because that never ends well. There are a lot of Twitter warriors out there that love getting angry at things. It's easy to hide behind that. It's a lot harder to have an actual conversation that helps somebody understand what you're doing and why that criticism is really unfounded.
I just wanted to add, I think especially in the UK, I don't think criticism for the esports degree is esports specific. I think currently there's a massive discourse on sort of like Mickey Mouse degrees. So I know like how English language as a degree is being sort of like isn't a degree anymore. So I don't think it's esports specific. I think when people see degrees that aren't necessarily, STEM, they'll say, oh, you don't have an obvious career path, you have nowhere to go, like what are you going to do when you graduate with esports? But I think it's just that, I think that it's just criticism for a degree that people, like if you do medicine, of course you're going to become a doctor, whereas for esports, people don't necessarily see the career paths that you can get from being esports. For me, like I studied languages, a lot of people will come up to me and say, oh, so you're going to become a translator, right? Whereas for me, no, that is the complete opposite of what I want to do. So yeah, I just think in the UK, there's just a lot of criticism around degrees that necessarily might not, that, people see only like one career path for it. Whereas, like loads of people I've met as well in the future, like a lot of adults that I've met have said that they've done one degree and gone to work in a sector that's completely different. And that, like yesterday, I think I met someone from banking as well who had done a completely different degree, but then went into esports. So I don't necessarily think that criticism for esports degrees is just esports itself. I think or like for the UK at least, I think it's just criticism for degrees that people don't see as a good investment, basically.
And I think, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but it really comes back to culture. Like it's the exact same thing like I experienced as well. Like I studied linguistics, like, I guess pretty unrelated. And people wouldn't even have a stereotype to throw at me, like, what are you going to do? Because they didn't even know what I did. Actually, I wrote my whole dissertation on esports. Like from day one of my degree, they were like, you've got to do a research paper, like just try it out. I didn't know what to do and I liked League of Legends. And 5 years later I'm here, right? Like I wrote my research on esports. I wrote about high-level esports team communication that evolved into coaching opportunities, into management opportunities, and shaped my whole degree experience. And it's about seeing university as an opportunity to do more. Right? And I've actually had a number of conversations with a number of people, students, graduates, even Warwick alumni that are here, that have come over and like, oh, I went to Warwick. And it's, it's so nice to fly that flag, because I think actually Warwick does a good job of it in terms of creating that culture of actually seeing university just as a big bounce pad, right? You'll leave with a really nice signed piece of paper and you might get to shake your vice chancellor's hand on stage or something like that, right? But what really matters is along the way, you're being lifted up by really talented and really passionate staff that want you to do more and if you have a really cool idea, why don't we invest that, right? Like where we're positioned within the university, our esports program is really interesting. we've got my brilliant colleagues here today, and we're positioned within the enterprise department, within Warwick Innovation. So everything we do, the department we're within is all about, R&D, doing new things, creating this incredible research, but also having spin-offs and incubators and making sure that graduates can start their own businesses. And we're working in a freelance innovation-based industry, right? There's no one set path, and there's no one set way of doing it. There's people who freelance, there's people who go full-time, there's entrepreneurs, there's intrapreneurs who go to businesses and then improve them internally, and you've got to make sure that they're lifted up, right? So that's why we do it the way that we do it, because it's all about making students, but not just students, people in the local area, people in the region, people in the country, be able to come to you and then grow and do more. So that's, for me, I think it's less about slamming esports degrees, and it's more about actually having an accountability for how the organization is promoting innovation and, student opportunity. I think that's probably a much better way to phrase the criticism.
Great. So now we've addressed some of the criticisms. I would like to kind of dive into more of the success stories. So it'd be good to get, obviously, again, US, UK perspective, but what are some of the kind of best things about integrating esports into the university and college system that you've seen?
Wow, there's a lot of good things. I've kind of mentioned some of them already. Some of the biggest kind of success stories have been those international opportunities for students that, I've had students that went to South Korea to work an international esports event that had never been on an airplane before. And this is a very drastic, different opportunity for them to be able to get on a plane, go to a country that there's not a whole lot of English being spoken there in some places, to work in an international esports event that they're networking and talking to get that experience because of what esports has to offer is really, really cool. And we continue to look for more of those kind of opportunities. We haven't had a whole lot of students graduate because the program is still new. We're going into year 4 right now of our academic side of it, so we'll see what those kind of job placements are and those opportunities. But we have had several students kind of get some of the courses and get degrees or get jobs in esports, especially in collegiate esports, running their own programs at their university, but also outside of it. We have some working in like real estate for social media, but they have social media skills because they promoted our program through Twitter and Instagram and other platforms. We've had students that are now managing multi-million-dollar budgets because of running a Call of Duty event at our university because they knew how to think on their feet and how to manage people. And so those are the really cool opportunities and stories that I like to hear are students that are getting these chances because they've done things in esports and gaming through the program that we've helped build and create for them. And that's the whole reason. I didn't build and create an esports program for me. I built it for students and for the community, like you're saying, Jack. I think that's absolutely a major part of what these programs can do. But given those opportunities, the international travel, the chance to work with really cool people like people at this event here, and find valuable jobs in and through the esports degree is really what we do it for.
I think my big success story, and I think actually I'm going to do the dad thing here and go, all my kids equally sort of thing, right? Like I think it's the society as a success story is incredible. Like recently been, Warwick Esports, and I think this is partly the centre, but mostly the society and activity over the last 4 years, and particularly over the last year, have been nominated for an esports award, right? And first ever UK organisation to do that and to be in that position. Well, UK University, the NOR was nominated 2 years ago. I want to be clear on that one, and that's because there's been so many innovators and so many people pushing that forwards, and they've just continuously pushed forward and forward and forward. And it's a really great success story that's driven this facility to be built, and then to bring sponsorships in to then bolster that, and then to connect students with these organizations. We've had pro teams come and boot camp at Warwick because they know how good the players are, so they're like, their facility's got to be good because they wouldn't let it be bad, right? And it's that same thing over and over and over again. But then you have your particular individuals that have just gone on to do amazing things, and actually what I'm most excited for are the success stories to come. We've got some amazing people, some of which are in the room right now. So, those people that are plugging in, they're hiring, go talk to our students. There's some incredible people. And I think all the real success stories are going to come in the next year or two, because the talent that we've got from students, from some of our paid part-time staff that are the lifeblood of the Esports Centre, I can't believe that they're there doing part-time work with us. Like, they should be like manning, full-time organizations. They're so talented, and I'd say that's the success story. Each and every student. So.
This might not be completely relevant to higher education, but I work a lot within marginalised communities, and obviously co-founded the first UK University Women and Non-Binary tournament. And I think the success story I have from that is that we've created a massive community, and from that community, we've had so many women and non-binary people come up. Like, I've had so many people come up to me and say, "Oh, I didn't know that I could also be a player. I didn't know that I could also work in esports." And for such a male-dominated industry, I think it's so important for people to also see that. So yeah, I think for me, it's just so heartwarming to get those comments and people who are actually now considering to work in esports. I know Camilla, who works for ESI, she played in the tournament that I ran and now has an amazing job. So there you go. We've got so many people who are now seeing that they can work within esports that they, might not have necessarily seen before. So yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm told that is our time, but I think that's a wonderful sentiment to leave on. So thank you everyone for joining us today, and I hope you have a lovely rest of the day.
Thanks, everybody.